The Nidorans were introduced in Generation 1, but in all this time they've been available, I've never had one in my party. The most exposure I've ever had to Nidoqueen or Nidoking is on Giovanni's team right at the end of Pokémon Fire Red. He quite often beats me up, so I'm expecting brilliant things from both of these Pokémon. Before we settle down for half an hour or so with Nidoqueen, I want to say thank you to each and every one of you who's joined me on the live streams recently. I've been doing my best to do 2 or 3 streams a week, a couple here on YouTube, and I'm also trying to stream once a week or so over on Twitch at twitch.tv/trainersquidgy. Those streams are a little bit more mature and the content is slightly different, but if you'd like to follow me over there, I'd be very grateful for your company. In the meantime though, let's turn our attention over to Nidoqueen. She's going to be the first in a 2-part mini-series where we're going to run both the Nidos back to back. And now let's start off by taking a look at the stats of our Nidoran female. We are level 5 with 20 HP. As always, we're holding a berry and our moves are Growl and Tackle. In terms of the stats, we have 10 in attack, 11 in defense, 9 in the specials and 10 in speed. So we're overall very well rounded. However, we do have relatively low stats as a Nidoran female, so we absolutely have to make sure we play smart until level 16 when we evolve into Nidorina. And while we're chatting away with Professor Oak at Mr. Pokemon's house, I just want to give you a quick update about the channel. We've been talking an awful lot on live streams about versus videos and split evolutions, and I've come to the decision I'm going to do each of the split evolution lines as individual videos. I feel like it would be quite unfair on some of the worst split evolution lines if we have a direct comparison in a single video. It would take the limelight off of them, and one of the things I enjoy doing is giving every single Pokemon that time in the spotlight. But for now I'll tell you that we grew to level 8 against a Weedle and we learnt Scratch, and I used the Universal Pokemon Randomizer to replace Cyndaquil with Nidoran female. I chose Cyndaquil because the rival will then have a water type Pokemon and that will be super effective to us later in the run. However, in all that time we've been waffling, we've already got through Rival 1, we're naming him Triple Question Mark, and we can be on our way to Violet City. Violet City, of course, is where our first gym awaits us. It is going to be Falkner, the flying type specialist, but before we battle him, we are going to get another move. We battle Birdkeeper Rod with his pair of Pidgey, and we're going to get Double Kick. Double Kick is an excellent move to go against Falkner's Pokemon because it is neutral and it also deals significantly more damage than Scratch alone. We test it out against the Pidgey and it is a 4 shots with 2 turns, and now let's see how it does against Falkner. This is our first gym leader together. He's a flying type specialist who leads with Pidgey. Now that Pidgey has a pesky Mud Slap on its learn set and that reduces our accuracy. I decide to take the L very quickly there and try again. On turn 2 we get only 1 accuracy drop against the Pidgey and that gives us a much better chance against the Pidgeotto. Now my reset counter was playing silly beggars for the start of this, however we do soon catch up after the gym battle and we will display 1 reset. In the meantime we got through Falkner in a time of 6 minutes and 28 seconds and the reset counter has now updated. So we're going to leave the gym now and we get a phone call from Professor Elm. We press the reject button though and move on with our lives towards Union Cave. While we're inside the cave, I decide to teach Mud Slap over Tackle because Tackle is surplus to requirements and we're going to need Mud Slap for the rival battle a little bit later on. It helped out with a couple of trainers in there but nothing significant happened, so let's go straight to the Ilex Forest where we catch the first of our 2 HM friends in here. This one is Paris. Paris is going to be helping us out with Cut, with Flash, with Sweet Scent and with Dig. And our second HM friend is Psyduck. Psyduck's going to be helping out with Surf, with Strength, with Whirlpool and with Waterfall. And with both of those safely tucked away in our bag, we're going to carry on the encounters in the Ilex Forest. We are agonisingly close to level 16 and at level 16 we get that evolution. So it took us a little while to get the encounter but we saw a second Psyduck. We kick it a few times to knock it out so we get the experience we need, and we say goodbye to Nidoran female and hello to Nidorina. The evolution of course comes with quite a nice buff to our base stats and that's going to be more than enough to see us through our second gym. Before we get to Bugsy though, we're going to take on Bugcatcher Benny. He's going to very kindly demonstrate all of the Weedle line for us. We easily dispose of Weedle, we do exactly the same to the Kakuna, and the final Pokemon is Beedrill. Beedrill's Fury Attack misses, we hit it a couple of times, we grow to level 19 and we learn Poison Sting. Now Poison Sting might only be base 15 power, but that chance to poison really must not be sniffed at. And in fact, we're going to see it in this battle right here as we take on Bugsy, our second gym together, the Bug-type specialist who leads with a poisoned Metapod. Poison Sting did its job there and took care of the Metapod a little bit quicker than it otherwise would have gone down, and we're on to the Kakuna. We can't poison the Kakuna, so we're just going to scratch away at it, and then the final Pokemon is Scyther. Scyther is a little bit of a worry, so we're going to try and poison it once more. We're not getting much damage taken from the Fury Cutter, as he seems to be insisting on that. He swaps to Quick Attack once the Fury Cutter misses, and we get very, very unlucky with the poison here. We should have swapped to Scratch a little while ago, but he eventually does get poisoned through my stubbornness, and we defeat Bugsy in a time of 13 minutes and 22 seconds. That was a very nice Bugsy fight, even though we could have shaved a little bit of time off, but we cannot celebrate for too long, of course, because Rival 2 is just around the corner. This is the undoing of a lot of Pokemon in the early game, so let's see how well we do here. He leads with Garcy, and we Mudslap it to take it down in 2 shots as the Hypnosis misses, and here comes the Zubat. We swap to Scratch as it's our best move for the Zubat, and a lucky critical hit means we're well in the green for the Croconaw. We start off by scratching, but I swap to Double Kick for the extra critical hit chance, and it pays dividends as we knock it out on 26 HP, and we get through Rival 2 on our very, very first try. We got very lucky with the Garcy there, but everything else was smooth sailing. And now that we're in the Ilex Forest, we'll grab Cuts from the Charcoal Maker, we'll go and grab Headbutts from the green-haired man staring at the tree, and we're going to teach that straight away in place of Scratch. Scratch served us well in the early game, but now that we're in the mid-game, we're going to get a nice 30 base power buff to our moves. We'll make our way out of the Ilex Forest and into Routes 34, where we catch our third HM friend. This one's Abra, a field move friend if we're being technical, and he's going to be helping us out with a teleport. And with Abra being incredibly cooperative, we can make our way into the bike shop, we'll grab the bike so we can double our movement speed, and it's now time already to pick up our fourth and final HM friend. This one's Kenya, of course my personal favourite, and Kenya's going to be helping us out with Fly. In the National Park, we're going to pick up the Quick Claw because our base speed really is going to let us down if we don't have it. We'll grab the Dixie M that somebody has been carelessly leaving in the National Park, have a little chat with Floria, and teleport back to Goldenrod City. In Goldenrod City, our third gym leader is waiting for us. This one, of course, is Whitney. She is a normal type specialist who leads with Clefairy. We headbutt the Clefairy and take care of it in 2 shots, and out comes the Miltank. We Mudslap as Stomp does an awful lot of damage. I was relying on the rollout and it just isn't happening. In fact, after just 1 reset, I cut my losses and I go and get a level. Fortunately for us, there is enough experience in the gym for us to get this level, and we get it off Beauty Victoria with her 3 Centrets. Those 3 Centrets are more than enough to get us up to level 23. And at level 23, of course, we hit one of those cabbage grounding fresh rolls, and they are much more important in the early game than they are in the late game. So that might just be enough to see us over the line, combined with a different strategy of double kicking everything as well. Miltank this time locks itself into rollout, and that's doing less damage than Stomp was, and that combined with our increase in attack means we get through very easily this time, in a time of 19 minutes and 32 seconds. And with Whitney's badge proudly on display, we can go next door into the flower shop. In the flower shop, we'll have a little chat with Floria and her sister, we'll obtain the Squirts bottle, and that will allow us to get rid of that pesky tree blocking the way to Ecruteak City. It disappears in the blink of an eye, but so do we out of Ecruteak because we're going straight to the Lake of Rage. At the Lake of Rage, we of course are going to pick up the first rare candy of the run, and we're also going to have a chat with the Hidden Power Man. And our Hidden Power type this time is Ground. This is our only way of getting a stab ground type move for Nidoqueen before we enter the Elite Four. So Hidden Power in this instance is absolutely plugging the gap in our level up and TM learn set. In the meantime though, we are going to take on the Kimono Girls. As always, I'll show you a couple of Kimono Girl encounters, firstly against the one that we are weak to, in this instance Espeon that we knock out in 2 shots, and we're also going to go against the Umbreon as well. And I'm spotlighting Umbreon here as well because we grow to level 27 in this battle, and we get the opportunity to learn Tail Whip. Now that might seem a little bit of a left of field move to have on our learn set. However, because I don't prepare these runs and I play with Gut Instinct alone, I like having a safety net in case our attack just isn't quite good enough. In the meantime though, we are going to take on rival number 3. He's in the Burnt Tower and this time he leads with Haunter. This Haunter has been the bane of my existence in many runs, but fortunately Hidden Power Ground makes mincemeat of that and the Magnemite as well. We swap to Headbutt for the Zubat and critical hit it away, and that just leaves the Croconaw. The Croconaw is going to be a few hits with a few different moves, but we take it out and we get through the rival on our first attempt in a time of 25 minutes and 6 seconds. We'll fall through the floor, release the beasts, and then we can make our way into our next gym. The next gym, of course, is Morty's 2-for-1 Extravaganza Ghost Poison Gym. He is a Ghost and Poison dual-type specialist, and he will lead with Ghastly. This is another reason why we have Hidden Power Ground on the learn sets, because it critical hits the Ghastly away. Out comes the Haunter, and we one-shot that as well, and we're risking it without a Minceberry for the Gengar. That pays dividends as Hypnosis misses twice in a row, and the final Pokemon is Haunter. That Haunter gets knocked out in a single Hidden Power, and we are through Morty and get the Fog Badge in a time of 27 minutes and 20 seconds. Let's now go west where life is peaceful towards Olivine City and the Lighthouse. Before we get there though, we're going to pick up the Minceberry from the tree, struggling on the bike in the process. We'll get the nuggets from the Moo Moo Farm so we can sell that for vitamins later, and then we'll finally enter Olivine City. The first thing we do in Olivine City is pick up Strength. We teach that along with Surf to our Psyduck, and then we ascend the Lighthouse. At the tippy top of the Lighthouse, Jasmine is waiting for us to get a package from overseas. I think she's being a little bit suspicious, but we'll let her off for now. In the meantime, we're going to surf all the way over to Cyanwood City, where we can not only grab the potion for Jasmine, we also have another gym battle waiting for us. This is our 5th gym together. The fighting type specialist Chuck is waiting for us, and he is going to lead with Primeape. We're in a good situation in this gym because we resist fighting type moves being the poison type, but in my haste to take down Chuck as quickly as I can, I didn't equip the Minceberry, and a bit of a disaster happened. I learned from that mistake straight away though, and we carried on. And the reset counter doesn't go up for player error like that, because that is not a fair reflection on the Pokemon. Instead, we just take the time loss. It's 4 shots with Headbutt to knock out the Poliwrath though, and we get our 5th badge, the Storm Badge, in a time of 33 minutes and 24 seconds. Let's now chat with Chuck's wife and obtain the Fly HM, and that's going to let Kenya fly us here, there and everywhere, which is perfect timing because we're now going to grab a load of stuff that we'll need later in the run. Destination number 1 on our whistle-stop tour of Johto and Kanto is the Tojo Falls. We've got a Moonstone waiting for us there, but we're going to save the rare candy until a little bit later on. We will, however, grab the rare candy from Violet City. While we're here, we're also going to ascend the Lighthouse so that we can get Flash to put on our Paris. Having that visibility in the dark caves is an important part of the runs for me, so we're always going to grab it. Up next is Azalea Town and the Slowpoke Well, where we have a King's Rock with our name on it. The King's Rock, of course, is going to give us a chance to flinch some of those opponents we outspeed, and somehow we are still not done picking up stuff we need. We're going to grab the nuggets and the rare candy south of the daycare and surf even further south, where we'll take on the trio of Cool Trainers. Against the Cool Trainers, we are going to grow to level 36, and we're going to learn our next move. Now that I've got a bit of a feel for how Nidorina plays, I felt confident enough to get rid of Tail Whip, and instead we're going to have Bite in its place. Bite is nice because it gives us some special coverage, and we also get the chance to flinch with that as well. We almost got ourselves into trouble getting Supersonics by the Sea King, but we managed to get through. We get the Soft Sand, and we're now back to Goldenrod. In Goldenrod, we're going to go into the department store to grab TM27, and we are also going to get some punching moves. We're going to get 3 Fire Punches, 3 Ice Punches, and 3 Thunder Punches. And with that, we are finally done, so let's take a little rest at a tranquil lake called the Lake of Rage. There's a bit of an angry Gyarados in here, but I'm sure we can take care of that very, very easily. We'll just headbutt it into submission 4 times, and then we will knock it out. That, of course, gives us access to the Rocket Underground, where I am pleased to announce that absolutely nothing happened. So we'll skip to the end, where Lance gives us a budget Whirlpool HM, and we'll make our way back out of there. And into Price's Ice-type gym we go, and this gym is the reason we have not evolved yet. If we were Nidoqueen, we would be very, very weak to all of those Ice-type moves. However, as a Nidorina, it is neutral, so we're going to take the slightly lowered attack in favour of having no super effective moves that can hit us, and that seems to work really well in our favour for both the Seal and the Dugong. Out comes the Piloswine, and we start headbutting it away. Unfortunately, we don't really have anything too great for the Piloswine. That means that Price gets a chance to heal his Piloswine, but we knock it out very soon afterwards and we get the Glacier badge in a time of 43 minutes and 30 seconds. We're at a very good pace, especially seeing as we're only stage 2 of 3 in the evolution line, and we can now go back up to the lighthouse. We'll give the secret potion to Jasmine, and once again she lets off a flare so she can sneak it in her handbag, so we'll hotfoot it into the gym right behind her. We're going to tell her that if she wants to play dirty, we're going to play even dirtier. We produce the Moonstone from the bag and give it to Nidorina, and suddenly we have a Nidoqueen. Nidoqueen, of course, is immune to all of those thunder waves that those pesky Magnemite like doing, and while we're at it, we're going to teach Fire Punch in place of Bite. Bite served as well against the Cloister line only of all things, and Fire Punch is going to be very, very good against Jasmine's Steelix. And Jasmine, of course, is our 6th gym leader together, the Steel-type specialist who led with a Magnemite that's already knocked out by a 4-time super effective Hidden Power Ground. Steelix gets taken into the red and a healing loop with the Fire Punch, so we knock it out on turn 3, and that just leaves one more Magnemite. Magnemite gets knocked out straight away, we grow to level 41, and we get the Mineral Badge in a time of 45 minutes and 16 seconds. So let's now move out of Olivine Gym, ghosting Professor Elm en route, and head back to Goldenrod City. In Goldenrod City, the 4th rival battle is waiting for us. This time he is going to lead with Golbat, and that can sometimes be an issue, as the Golbat has Confuse Ray. Fortunately for us this time though, we headbutt it straight into submission in 2 shots, flinching it in the process, and here comes the Feraligatr. We now have the type disadvantage over Feraligatr, but Water Gun is nothing but a dribble, so we knock it out in a further 2 headbutts. Double Kick is 4 times super effective against the Sneasel, so that goes down, and we have a Hidden Power Ground with Haunter's name on it. The final Pokemon is Magnemite, another Hidden Power Ground knocks it out, and we are through what is possibly one of the smoothest rival falls we've had in a very long time. We'll go up to the top of the radio tower now, where we are going to teach Ice Punch in place of Fire Punch. We're going to be mixing and matching these punches all the way through, depending on which is the better punch for the circumstance, and while we're in the TM menu, we're also going to replace Headbutt with Return. It's around about this point in the run where Return's base power is more than enough to make up for the lack of flinch chance you get with Headbutt. We'll grab the pink boat from Marie, and we're also going to get the radio card to make sure that we can get through that pesky Snorlax over in Kanto. A quick trip to Mahogany Town later, and we can go east towards the Ice Path. In the Ice Path, there are a couple of important items for us to pick up, the first being HMO7, which is Waterfall. We teach that to Psyduck at the same time as teaching Whirlpool to save a little bit of menuing, and the next item is the Never Melt Ice. The Never Melt Ice gives us a 10% boost to our Ice-type moves, and so it absolutely stands to reason that we're going to be holding it for Claire, our 8th gym leader together, the Dragon-type specialist who leads with Dragonair. Dragonair number 1 goes down with a single Ice Punch, so she sends out another. The same thing happens, so she comes to her senses and sends out the Kingdra. Kingdra Surf does an awful lot of damage against us, and Return low rolls, which means we don't knock the Kingdra out. I take the resets here and try again. It's exactly the same situation with the pair of Dragonair at the beginning. A single Ice Punch is more than sufficient to knock them out, and we are back onto the Kingdra. I go for the double return strategy this time, and it pays dividends as Claire doesn't get into a healing loop. We knock out the final Dragonair with an Ice Punch, and we get the Rising Badge in a time of 1 hour and 7 seconds. That's all 8 Jotonian Gym Badges acquired. That means we can start surfing east towards Kanto. We'll pick up that rare candy that we didn't quite manage to get earlier on in the run, and we'll pop our heads in Victory Road. There's one significant item for us here in Victory Road, that is TM26, which contains Earthquake, but we're going to hold on to that just for now, because I think we can be a little bit strategic with where we actually teach it. For now though, let's take on the 5th and final rival battle. He led with Sneasel, which gets knocked out by a single double kick, and we are on to the Kadabra. We use Return against the Kadabra to easily one-shot it, so he sends out Feraligatr. Return is a very easy 2-shot against the Feraligatr, so he sends out his Golbat. We make mincemeat of the Golbat with Return, and he sends out his Magneton. Magneton, of course, is 4 times weak, so it gets knocked out straight away, and the final Pokemon is Haunter. Haunter also was no match for our Nidoqueen, and we're through the rival in a time of 1 hour, 5 minutes and 18 seconds. And with that, we are into the league. We'll heal up our Nidoqueen whether we Nidoed it or not, and we'll say thank you to the HM friends. So it's thank you to Kenya, to Abra, to Psyduck, and merci to Paris. We'll grab our 4 full restores as is customary before going into the league, and now let's take a look at our stats. We are of course level 53 with 181 HP. We are holding the Never Melt Ice and our moves are Return, Double Kick, Ice Punch and Hidden Power Ground. We've got 127 in attack, 131 in defense, 123 in special attack, 133 in special defense, and 118 in speed. And very quickly before Will, I changed my mind with the learn set. We are going to be teaching Shadow Ball in place of Hidden Power Ground. And this is part of the reason why I'm holding on to that Earthquake TM. But for now, let's take on Will, the first league member, the Psychic type specialist who led with Xatu. Shadow Ball made light work of Xatu and it does exactly the same to the Jinx. He tries once more, this time with a very bulky Slowbro, but it's still a very easy two-shot as he uses Amnesia. He tries with Xatu number 2, but that is no different to Xatu number 1. And then it's last chance saloon for Will as Executor comes out, it clings on for dear life with a Shadow Ball, but we knock it out on turn 2 to get through Will in a time of 1 hour, 6 minutes and 43 seconds. Koga's next, the Poison type specialist who leads with Ariados. We use Return against the Ariados to take it deep into the red and another Return knocks it out. Here comes Venomoth. It's much of a muchness with the Venomoth as it knocks us deep into the yellow. We didn't heal before this battle, but I think we're going to be absolutely fine. We start double kicking the Fortress as he sets up spikes around our non-existent team, and then we just get to hitting it with whatever we can. There's not really too much we can do against the Fortress, but an Ice Punch knocks it out, and we're on to the Crobat. Crobat instantly gets caught in a healing loop as we Ice Punch its wings. We try on 3 of the different wings to knock it out, and then his final Pokemon is Muck. Muck of course carries an awful lot of bulk, however it isn't able to hit us hard at all. He hits us with a Sludge Bomb a couple of times, taking us into the red, but it's nowhere near enough to knock us out, and we're through Koga in a time of 1 hour, 7 minutes and 40 seconds. And we are now going to replace Shadow Ball with Earthquake as we take on Bruno, the fighting type specialist who leads with Hitmontop. Hitmontop comes out and we start an Earthquake straight away. It's one shot on the Hitmontop, so he brings out a Hitmonchan. Hitmonchan is also a single hit with the Earthquake, and so he tries with Legs the Hitmonlee. That also is one shot with Earthquake, and then we swap temporarily to Ice Punch to take care of that Onix. And then Bruno's final Pokemon is Machamp. Bruno sees sense and doesn't even bother with a healing loop as 2 Earthquakes knocks it out, and we get through him at a time of 108.46. Let's keep this momentum going with Karen. Karen of course is a Dark type specialist who leads with Umbreon, and Double Kick didn't do anywhere near as much as I thought it would do. Our punishment for that is a Sand Attack from the Umbreon, and then a Paralysis from Vileplume. Let's try again, this time with full accuracy from the start. We go for Earthquake against the Umbreon, and it's 2 hits to knock it out, and here comes that pesky Vileplume again. Ice Punch comes within a whisker of knocking out the Vileplume once more, but yet again it just falls short. We did hold a Paralysed Cure Berry though, so we're not paralysed for the rest of this battle, and Murkrow's an easy one hit. The same thing occurs against the Gengar, and then her final Pokemon is Houndoom. We outspeed the Houndoom, Earthquake super effective, and you can fill in the blanks as we get through Karen in a time of 1 hour, 10 minutes and 13 seconds. And that's the Elite Four all done and dusted. We just have Lance, the liar with the flyers, left to go. He's a flying type specialist who leads with Gyarados. We don't have anything very good against the Gyarados, but 2 returns knocks it out and the rain is up. That doesn't really matter for this battle as we go to the Ice Punching for the Dragonite. Dragonite number 1 goes down and Dragonite number 2 goes down in much the same way. The 2 biggest threats of this battle are now out of here, and so is Aerodactyl with a very lucky critical hit. The biggest threat from Charizard is getting burnt by Flamethrower, which doesn't happen, so it's 2 returns to knock it out, and we swap back to Ice Punch for the final Dragonite. It's another one-hit wonder to get through Lance in a time of 1 hour, 11 minutes and 18 seconds, and we will get our final league time of 1 hour, 11 minutes and 36 seconds. And that means that the Johto portion of this run is done, but there's still an awful lot of fun and frolics left to come, so don't you dare go anywhere. Kanto is next. And we are back, where it all began outside our home in Newbark Town, where Professor Elm is still pestering us, so we tell him to shut up once and for all and cycle over to Cherry Grove to retrieve our HM friends. It's a warm welcome back to Kenya, to Abra, to Psyduck, and of course bienvenue to Paris. We're now going to head over to Ecruteak City, where we have the first of 2 rare candies to pick up before we enter Kanto proper. The first one is in Mount Mortar, and the second one is just by Olivine City in the Whirl Islands. And with those 2 rare candies now safely packed away in our bag, we can do a hop, skip and a jump and end up in Vermilion City. And of course the first thing we do in Kanto is the last thing we do in Johto. We're getting another rare candy, this time from the chairman of the Pokemon fan club. With that put away, with all the others, we'll cycle north to Saffron City. It's only a flying visit through Saffron though, as we have places and people to see over in Celadon City. We'll grab the leftovers from the bin in case we need some passive health healing. We'll grab the PP up from the bush and we'll say hello to Erica. Erica is our 9th gym leader together, a grass type specialist who leads with Tangela. Unfortunately for Erica, we've still got Ice Punch on our learn set, and that makes mincemeat of Tangela and Victory Bell. She sends out a Blossom, the bulkiest of all her Pokemon, and she sets up a Sunny Day. Sunny Day doesn't affect the power of Ice type moves, so it's just 2 further punches to knock it out, and then the final Pokemon is Jumpluff. Jumpluff, being 4 times weak to Ice, didn't stand a chance, and we get the first badge, the Rainbow Badge, in a time of 1 hour 16 minutes and 25 seconds. Nidoqueen's now going to multitask with her boxing gloves, as she's got an icy one on one hand and a thundery one on the other, and that is going to be brilliant for Misty. It's an instant knockout against the Golduck with the Thunder Punch, and we swap back to the Ice Punch for the Quagsire. Quagsire's an easy 2-shot with an Ice Punch and an Earthquake, so she brings out her Lapras. We go back to the Thunder Punching ways for the Lapras, and Blizzard doesn't even tickle us. 2 Thunder Punches and Lapras goes away forever in a day, and the final Pokemon is Starmie. Starmie is no match for our Thunder Punch, and we get Misty's badge, the Cascade badge, in a time of 1 hour 21 minutes and 5 seconds. We're on a bit of a roll here, and let's keep it up for Sabrina. Sabrina's Espeon gets Earthquakes in 1 shot, and she sends out a Mr. Mime. Mr. Mime isn't bulky enough to survive, and neither is this Alakazam. 3 1-shots is all it takes to get the Marsh badge in a time of 1 hour 21 minutes and 47 seconds. While we're at it, let's beat up Surge's Pokemon. This time he's going to lead with Raichu. Raichu quick attacks us and gives us our first damage for quite some time, and up next is Electabuzz. Of course, we have the type advantage against Surge, the electric type leader, so all of his Pokemon are going to struggle. In fact, I am confident enough to say that Surge will not even get to show a single attack in this battle. All of his Pokemon get knocked out, and we get the Thunder Badge in a time of 1 hour 23:03. Up next, of course, is Brock, the Rock-type specialist, and once again we have a type advantage. We're going to Ice Punch for PP purposes against these Rock Ground Pokemon, and then when he sends out the Water Pokemon, we'll swap to Earthquake. And those 2 moves in combination with each other will mean it's 5 simple 1-shots against Brock as well. These Cantonian gym leaders really do need to get their act together. Out of all the Pokemon we faced, only Lapras has dealt a tiny bit of damage to us, and Surge being the 5th one we've defeated means we get the Boulder Badge in a time of 1:24:44. We'll now cycle south, saying hello to 3Drill en route as we make our way towards Cinnabar Island. We'll have a little chat with Blue so he can go back to his gym now that he's told us about the volcano. We'll grab our penultimate rare candy, and we'll also start to surf east towards the Seafoam Islands. This is where Blaine has temporarily relocated, and he is yet another gym where we have the type advantage. Poor Magcargo goes down in 1 single Earthquake, being 4 times weak to Earthquake. Rapidash is only doubly weak to Earthquake, but it still gets knocked out, and the same thing happens with the Bumhead Fireduck. 3 easy 1-shots to get the Volcano Badge in a time of 1:26:02. And now it's time for everyone's favourite pushover, it's Janine. And for the 4th gym in a row, we have the type advantage, and it's all because of our ground typing. The ground typing really has paid dividends in the Kanto section, so much so that we once again 1-shot all of Janine's Pokemon. These Cantonian gym leaders really have been a letdown in terms of difficulty this time, and we are going to see if Blue is any different. Blue, of course, being our final gym leader together, he's a mixed type specialist who leads with Pidgeot. We have Ice Punch on our learn set, and we take Pidgeot deep into the red, but he uses an Ice Punch back at us with Mirror Move. We knock it out in 2 shots, and the leftovers takes us back to 215. Alakazam doesn't outspeed, so doesn't set up a Reflect, and that means we're on full health for the Gyarados. Gyarados, being 4 times weak to Thunder Punch, puts up 0 resistance, and neither does the Rhydon. Rhydon, of course, as we know, has no special defense, so it's a little bit unfair against that. We carry on our Ice Punch against the Executor as he takes in Sunlight, so he doesn't even get a chance to heal, and we finish him off with an Earthquake. And that being Blue's final Pokemon means we have defeated him in a time of 1 hour 27 minutes and 57 seconds. And that's our badge quest all complete. There is only one more challenge awaiting us. That is, of course, Red. So we're going to chat with Professor Oak, who's going to let us get access to Mount Silver and complain about our Pokédex at the same time. Nothing like a backhanded compliment from Oak, and on our way there we're actually going to face a couple of wild Pokemon. We are agonisingly close to level 66, and that might give us a slight advantage when we actually get to Red. However, before we take on Red, we're going to listen to my favourite music as we spend all of our money in the Game Corner. We are going to upgrade one of our punches, and this time it's going to be Thunder Punch getting the upgrade treatment. So it's goodbye to Thunder Punch and hello to a delicious Thunderbolt. Thunderbolt is super effective against 2 of Red's Pokemon, including one we're weak to, so it makes very good sense to do that. But now it is actually time to take on Red, our final challenge of the run, and he leads with Pikachu. We have a very good start as we outspeed the Pikachu and we are on to the Espeon. However, Espeon's Psychic hits us like a truck. That was a critical hit though, so we're not going to use our rare candies quite yet. Instead, we're going to see just how well we survive the Psychic. The Psychic hits us and takes us deep into the red. This is not looking good for Nidoqueen. In fact, I take the reset straight away, and we use 3 rare candies to get us up to level 69. Let's see if this is any better from here. We one-shot the Pikachu, and out comes the Espeon once more. Espeon still outspeeds, Psychic is still very strong, and Earthquake still isn't a one-shot. We got knocked out by the second Psychic, so we're going to use a further 3 rare candies. Now at level 72, let's see if we do any better still. Pikachu's Quick Attack does negligible damage to us, and we're back onto the Espeon with full health. The Espeon is still not a one-shot, but the Espeon uses Reflect. This is important because we can now swap to a freezing strategy for the Snorlax, but we'll have to save that for the next attempt as Body Slam paralysed us. Once again, it's an easy one-shot against the Pikachu. Out comes the Espeon and we outspeed with Earthquake this time. Reflect comes up and that is perfect for us because we don't take any damage. We've now just got to hope for the freeze against the Snorlax. We get it on turn 2 and that means we are not getting Body Slammed. I try to keep Snorlax out of rest range with a couple of returns until I'm confident that we can knock it out with Earthquake, and we move on to the Blastoise. We Thunderbolt the Blastoise to take it deep into the yellow. Another Thunderbolt knocks it out as he sets up the rain, so he brings out Venusaur. We're going to go straight for the Earthquake with the Venusaur as Giga Drain deals negligible damage. It does turn the Venusaur into a 3-shot though, but that is still no worry. We are comfortably in the green for the final Charizard. We've got Thunderbolt, Charizard can't hit us hard at all. Flamethrower takes us into the yellow, but it's no use for Red as we knock it out. We grow to level 73 and we defeat Red in a time of 1 hour 33 minutes and 28 seconds. Goodness me, what a good run Nidoqueen had. I am very, very proud of this run, even with a couple of mistakes here and there. And just before we bring up the leaderboard, I want to say that sometimes the time might be a couple of seconds different to what shows on the end screen here. That's because I retime for when the Pokemon Trainer Red was defeated is displayed on screen, and in this instance that was a second quicker at 1:33:27. So that puts Nidoqueen in a comfortable 7th place on the leaderboard. Nidokeeng's going to have its work cut out for it next time, but let's take a look at the other pages of the leaderboard as well. Venusaur is now heading up page 2, and Corsola is next in the 3rd page drop zone. On page 3 we already have a couple of Pokemon. We have Sunflora and poor Magcargo still in last place after all this time. But with that, we are done. So I'm going to say thank you all so much for watching. It's been a pleasure as always. If you've enjoyed this video, please do leave it a like. If you want to see more videos just like this, then click the subscribe button. I have a Patreon at patreon.com/TrainerSquidgy. And until next time, I'll say thank you for watching and I'll see you all very, very soon.